In today's episode, we talk Disney's PhotoPass, is Memory Maker worth it, and where can you get those very special ride photos?
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
You are listening to the Main Street Magic Podcast with your hosts, Jeremy Stein and John Marone.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I am your host, Jeremy Stein, and I'm joined as always by my co-host and good friend, John Marone.
Hello.
In today's episode, we talk Disney's PhotoPass as well as Memory Maker, and is it worth it, and where can you get those very special ride photos? Please check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at mainstmagic. All right, John. Well, we're back into 2018 here with our first episode, so welcome back.
Glad to be back.
Feels good to get back in the studio and start recording some more. Right before we hopped on here, we were kind of laying out some of our Disney plans over the next few months. So pretty excited for some new trips and some new topics, episodes, and definitely some new trip reviews coming up very soon. But today we wanted to quickly touch on what is PhotoPass and then what is Memory Maker, because you probably hear those a lot when going on Disney trips. And just very quickly, PhotoPass is more of the service. So it's like the program that Disney uses to take photos with the photographers that you see all over the park. They're in the white shirts, button-up shirts, and the tan vest. And they're lined up by most of the landmarks or outside of rides, and during the festivals, they're pretty much around every corner taking special photos. And then whereas the Memory Maker is actually a product you purchase so that you can download the photos that they're taking. And so we just want to expand a little bit on that and whether we think it is worth it or not. And the only other addition I'll add before I let you talk a little, John, is that as annual pass holders, both you and I, if you have the Gold Pass or above, you get what they're calling it PhotoPass, but you get it included, and that gives you unlimited access or downloads to your photos that have been taken in the parks by those photographers for a full year from the date that they were taken. So you and I are familiar with more of the PhotoPass, looking at the photos. But in your history of going to Disney, I know you've been a pass holder for so long. Have you ever actually had to purchase the Memory Maker product, or have you recommended to other people that have visited and they're asking for your opinion?
No, and so I've never purchased it in the past, so I didn't do anything with it until actually after you guys had it with the Gold Pass, and we're getting the photos because we, for Florida residents, we're doing the silver. So the difference between silver and gold, less money, more blackout dates, but they were blackout dates that we don't want to go anyway.
Right. So
save some money instead of just having the full year annual pass. And then looking at it, I was more concerned always with getting a pass that included parking than photos.
Sure.
Right? Yeah, I could carry a camera, I could use my phone, and I could get that. And because we ride the rides so many times, I never really cared. Do I need 52 photos of us on Space Mountain?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So, which now I have 52 photos of us on Space Mountain, at least digitally, but it gives the kids a chance to know where the cameras are and make goofy faces.
Right, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, so that's the big thing. So actually with that, I upgraded, so there's 6 of us who have the annual passes. All we did was I upgraded my pass to gold. Mm-hmm. Everybody else stayed silver. Now we have PhotoPass for the whole family. Right. Because I'm always with them.
Yeah.
So when we get the photo, I have it. So that to me was just, there's a tip of saving money. Like if you are going to add it or you have the ability, everybody doesn't need it. Look more importantly at your dates of when you're going to attend than worrying too much about every single person having PhotoPass if you're going to be together as a group.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned with having your phone or having your camera, every single PhotoPass photographer will take a picture with your phone or with your camera. And then you have it immediately anyway. So, for me and what I've looked at, and I do have friends that have come down and visited and they have purchased Memory Maker, and it was very much worth it to them. but they were here for extended stays. So if you're going down for a short trip, maybe 2 or 3 days, I would not recommend getting Memory Maker. It's pretty expensive for that price. But if you are somebody that is going to be there for a week-long trip and you're not going to have that PhotoPass access like we do as annual pass holders, and you plan on printing some of the photos that you're having taken, it can definitely be worth it, because otherwise you're looking at getting PhotoPass, and you're going to go into one of the stores or the kiosks within each of the parks, and they're going to bring up your photos that have been taken on your account, and they're going to say, all right, pick out 3 8x10s that you want printed to take home as a keepsake. Well, guess what? They're going to cost a lot. We've had them printed in the past. I want to say you're probably going to be at least $20 for an 8x10 photo. So if you've had 3 printed, you've already added up 60. They're going to get you for more while you're in there, because it's just like having your kids' pictures taken at any local studio at the mall. They're going to rope you into packages. So you're going to end up with tons of photos you may not need, and you're going to have spent just as much money. So what we do with the actual PhotoPass, and what you could do if you had purchased Memory Maker during your trip, come home, download the photos you want. They're going to be the high resolution. Go online to Shutterfly. Go to your local CVS or Walgreens and have those photos printed. You have access to do that at a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. Where you mentioned the price of it being costly, it is not like the dining plan or anything where you add it on by the day. It's the same price whether it's 1 day or 10 days.
Yeah.
So obviously a longer stay might make it more important, but no different than you said. Do you need the service? You don't, because you can go up to any PhotoPass photographer and they will take your picture.
Yeah. And good ones.
Good ones.
They're photographers.
And give you, and I don't know if you're going to touch on this, but give you a card.
Yeah.
Right? That you can then go take the code, go into the Disney PhotoPass website, type in the code, and it's going to pull up your pictures, and it's going to have a watermark over the picture, so it's not something you could print out, but you can go and buy those.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you got to weigh that. Does that cost outweigh spending $169 or $199, depending what package you get and how that works out? But they're going to take it and then give them your camera, and they're going to take the same exact picture, and now you have it, and it didn't cost you anything.
Right.
No different with the ride photos. So you can at least go and see some of the photos. Yeah. But you're going to have them. You're not. If you don't have PhotoPass, you don't have Memory Maker. You can still get PhotoPass pictures.
Yeah, and then you can go and pick the ones you like. So if you did a dozen rides, you had a dozen photos taken, and you only want one of them, you can go ahead and choose that one. And I will say the photos inside the park, if you get them printed there, are much more expensive than if you go after the fact and you go to Disney's PhotoPass site and have them, and you order them and have them printed from there. Another addition, I guess, though, that some people may like with Memory Maker, and again, John just touched on length of stay compared to price really makes a difference, is that you can't have immediate access to those photos if you want to share them out to social media, and you won't have the watermark. Or you can do what we see people often do, which is hop off a ride, look at their watermarked photo up on the TV, and then just snap a picture of it with their phone anyway. Because, you have to think, how long is that photo going to live? Like, are you really going to print out an 8x10 of you riding Space Mountain for the first time, and is it going to display forever in your home? Or do you really just want a quick glimpse of it, even if it's got that watermark, to say, hey, look at us, that was funny, But talking about rides, because it is one thing that would be automatically, included as those same downloads with the rides, is and PhotoPass or photos will link to your Magic Band as well if you have a Magic Band. So if you're on site or you've purchased a Magic Band, if you're staying off site and you've linked it to your My Disney experience, when you get those photos taken, the photographer will scan your band, or they'll give you the card like you mentioned. When you are on rides, it's probably about 50-50. Half of them use the technology, the RFID technology in your Magic Band to actually send the photo to your app, which is scary enough. And then the other half, you actually go and you will touch your Magic Band or your PhotoPass card to your photo in their display, and then that will link it to your account. But I know one of the things we like to do now, because as you mentioned, I don't need 52 photos of me on Space Mountain that look the same. Half the time at Magic Kingdom, I'm probably even wearing the same shirt. So you're going to think I wrote it 52 times in one day. But now we just, and a lot of people do this, and you can go out and there's social media sites of the things or the funny things or the faces or props sometimes if they're, within in Disney's rules, and people will pose for these photos, which we kind of do now. The kids are always trying to make a face or do something weird. I try and come up with something myself just to make it different. Is that something you guys are getting into now?
Yeah, well, I'll say the older kids definitely do it.
Yeah.
In that, I don't pay as much attention to it. And again, if we find a photographer, we're taking better pictures.
Right.
On the rides, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't care as much about it. But you were talking about how they, just with your band, they can put it right on your My Disney Experience app, and you don't have to touch anything or do that. But I do also say that the technology doesn't always work, because I'll say that, 50% of the time I have somebody's photo,
right,
and I have no idea who they are.
I know. Yeah, and then they probably have yours, or
yes,
or it's probably off by one,
right?
So everybody just kind of it goes down the line, I guess. But yeah, and with the ride photos now, I think I probably spend half the time having anxiety over when is the flash coming exactly, because I normally know about where it is and what am I going to do for it. So a lot of the kids will always say at the beginning, we're going to do this, and they always want to dab or do whatever the new thing is, which makes me sound so old. But half the time they're just scared to death because they're in the middle of a ride and they don't get to do what they do. So I've made it a point now where I'm trying to include them, and I'm making a face at them or pointing or laughing, or Lacey's usually on things like dinosaur, head down in my lap or in Rhonda's lap, and I'm just kind of making a face at her. But I wanted to go through, if you are that family that wants to do something stupid or funny or something special. I mean, I've seen photos of people proposing in ride photos, or announcing that they're having a baby, or things like that. So if you don't want to miss out on that opportunity, I've made a quick list I'll run through of exactly where those photos are taken for each ride. These are about 90% off of memory, which is sad that I know a lot of these, but that's how often we do these. So we'll run through the Magic Kingdom first, and we've got Splash Mountain. That's an easy one. That is at the end when you're coming down the huge drop. So you come out of the mountain, you're going down the plunge, and it's going to snap your photo. Be ready for it. Space Mountain is right at the beginning of the ride as you initially go through that tunnel and the lights are flashing before you go into the dark and you're doing the rest of the roller coaster. On Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin is always a good one. That is, again, most of these are towards the end of the rides. This is when Emperor Zurg, it's huge. Emperor Zurg is there. You're going to be staring right at him while you're shooting, and it's going to flash and blind you, and you won't see the rest of the ride.
But make sure for Emperor Zurg, if you want a lot of points, make sure that when you're past Zurg, you don't look forward. You kind of maneuver your vehicle back so that so that you continue shooting Zurg as you're exiting that room.
Correct. Yeah.
And you'll find out where.
Yeah. See, this is such useful information. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. There are two spots. The first one takes the photo, and this is the one I was a little hazy on because we don't ride this a ton due to not having fast pass accessibility. But you come around, you go down the drop, and the first turn, it's about the second turn as you're going left. There is a fast pass flash to your right, and then later they're actually going to do a ride video, which is pretty cool. It's only one of two rides where you will go up on My Disney Experience and see a short video of the ride, and they piece it together with some music and other scenes from the roller coaster. In Enchanted Tales with Belle, if you are selected to participate in this show, they will take photos throughout. And then at the end, there's an opportunity for kids and some adults, if there's time, to walk up and get their photo with Belle. They will not scan your PhotoPass or your Magic Band, but they'll hand you a quick card. You then there's a number on the back of that card that you type into My Disney Experience, and it will link all photos. So you're gonna get 24 photos of everyone that was involved, and then you just pick the one out of your family, your kids, and download it. And then finally, Pirates of the Caribbean is back, and that is at the ride beginning when you're entering the cave, and there's the talking skull there to your left, which again, genius, because everybody's staring at it, and then it blinds you and sends you into the dark. So very well done on the setup at Pirates of the Caribbean. Over at Epcot, I am 99% sure there's one at Frozen Ever After, but I think it barely works. I know we've had our picture taken there, and I believe it is once your boat is going backwards and you turn around again to go forward and go down a drop, that it takes one there. But I don't think it works all the time. And then on test track, as soon as you come outside of the building, you're going to go, that's when you're about to really speed up. You go down a short drop, PhotoPass is to the right. Over at Hollywood Studios, we have Tower of Terror. I have no idea where that one is because I'm usually just screaming during it and watching everybody else scream. But I think it's during the initial drop when the doors open and you look out over Hollywood Studios. And then that is the other one that will give you a ride video. Neither of my kids will ride Tower of Terror yet. Both of them want to watch the video of me on it every time. So it's kind of cool to let them see. And then Rock and Roller Coaster, which is at the very beginning as you accelerate and shoot into the tunnel. That's always a fun one. If you look at, I bet, every photo taken there in a day, I bet 90% of them are people with like the devil horn, rock on or screaming, or they got their sunglasses on. So, and then finally, we've got 2 over at Animal Kingdom. Dinosaur is again towards the end of the ride. Your vehicle's going to swing around right at the end. It's probably within the last 30 to 45 seconds. The vehicle will stop, and there's a huge dinosaur. I think it's to your right. And again, you're staring at it, and the flash is going off. And then your final opportunity is over at Expedition Everest. And that's this, you see the Broken Yeti. It's been down for 19 years. And you come out of Everest, outside, and you go down the largest drop there. You have another opportunity for a PhotoPass. So I think we kind of covered it. I think... it sounds like if you have access to, don't pass up PhotoPass. I mean, go ahead, link it to your band or get a card. Still have those photographers use your cell phone or your own camera to take pictures, and then maybe decide which ones you want to purchase after the fact on the website. Unless you're going to be there. I mean, if you're going to be there for 5 days, 4 nights, do you think the purchase of Memory Maker is worth it?
Well,
if you're going to take advantage of it,
if you're going to take advantage of it, because also the PhotoPass people are with the characters. So if you're doing any character meet and greets, it includes that, and they take a ton of photos at that. So if your kids like the characters and they're going to meet them, they're snapping photos of your kids going up to them the first
getting
time,
autograph,
I'll get them autograph
too.
So there's a ton of photos there that are worthwhile if you're gonna get them. That usually you can get some decent ones there. So I think longer stay. I think it's worth it because you're just going to get more candid photos, and you don't have to worry as much about taking them. Yeah, you've put it off onto somebody else, and we didn't even talk about the magic shots.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So there are plenty of places throughout each of the parks where they will have you do something in the photo, and you have no idea why you're doing that. And then later on, these photos often take a little bit longer to link to your account than the regular ones. So it'll be like, well, wait a minute, why were they having me stick my hand out there? Right. I got the 3 photos that I'm normal, but that 4th one, and then it pops up a couple hours later, and Tinkerbell's in your hand, or whatever it might be. They do it at the Halloween party, at the Christmas party as well, where they have some special magic shots, but they're at Epcot, they're everywhere. So that's something as well that's pretty neat to go ahead and get those. Yeah. So I think that when you look at it, take your number of days and divide it by the 169 or 199 and see if it makes sense for you. Yeah. Yeah, and when you mention about the magic shots and all of that, the PhotoPass photographers are so great, and they're going to spend time with you. Now, you do want to be aware, as always, and we've talked about this in the past, of your surroundings. I mean, it's probably not the time for your family photo shoot of 30 people that have all gathered for this one time to do individual photos of every single person. But the photographers, they take their time. They're so good. I mean, there's plenty of times that we're almost rushing, and we're like, look, we have a family of 4, take a picture. And they'll say, hey, why don't the adults step out and let me get one with just the kids? And, why don't the kids step out and the adults hop in and get one with you? And, we've been there with your family and had it broken up into several photos. I remember coming out of the Little Mermaid ride that one time.
right over there. We were heading back. It was a large group. You had all 6 kids. Your sister was with you. We had the 4 of us, and we sat there and took. There was nobody else in line, and we sat there and took photos for like 10, 15 minutes. And I think every single kid, they had them hold their hand out. They had Sebastian in their hand. I mean, they really took the time, to spend with us because they knew it was going to be extra magical when we went and looked at those photos. So I think it's something we really enjoy. I'm going to go through my photos from the past year, and I'll go ahead and post maybe some of those ride photos where we tried to do something funny, and make sure you do the same as well.
Yeah, and so we've mentioned the 169, 199. What's the difference?
So the 199, we're just talking about this because you schooled me on this one a little bit. So the 199 is you purchase. So you get to your trip, correct? And you've gotten PhotoPass taken for 2-3 days, and you all of a sudden are thinking, I really like these. I wish I had bought Memory Maker. So you purchase it at 199. It's going to then be retroactive to your past 3 days and include all those photos as part of your download. If you purchase the discounted price of $169, you're going to start from the day that you purchased, is what I think we figured out, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So something, again, to think about, you're going to be better off being prepared before you go. So if you purchase it on day one, you can get, from my understanding too, you could still get the discounted, I think.
Yeah, so if my trip starts on a Monday, I could buy the discounted for $169 and my photos start on Monday.
Right.
If I started my trip on Monday, but I took a bunch of photo passes and then I was looking at them and I'm like, hey, these are pretty neat. I want some of them. Yeah. I could add on the $199 on Thursday. Cost me $30 more, but I included all my photos for Monday, Tuesday,
Wednesday. Yeah, so you don't miss out. Yeah. And you're going to find probably that $30 difference is pretty well worth it at that point.
2-3 photos.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're getting them printed. And and as far as, and I use, we used to do when we only went, excuse me, once or twice a year, I came home every time with the photos that we took, and I would go on Shutterfly and purchase a book. And you can get a book on there. You look up coupon codes, and for $20 or $30, I would get a 20-page book, full color, as many photos as I wanted in there from Shutterfly, so that we had some sort of memory of our vacation. And you could do the same thing if you had those access to your PhotoPass downloads. So definitely go out to Facebook and Twitter at MainSTMagic. Let us know your thoughts on Memory Maker, whether you've purchased it in the past or not, and go ahead and post some of your photos that you've had taken on the rides. We'd love to see those out there. I think that's about all we got for now, though. We'll see you real soon.